keeps us warm. We can spend the night.
Hello everybody, it's Delilah. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a crafting video, a DIY video, which is something I don't normally do on my channel, but over the last couple of weeks, the kids and I have been doing a lot of fun Christmas crafts, and I wanted to share that with you. I've been getting a lot of questions about some of these crafts over on Instagram, so I thought I would just film them, share the process with you. These are all really fun ideas that you can easily do with your kids, and they're all really cute ideas. They're not my original ideas. A few of them I got from Pinterest, a few of them I saw on Instagram, one of them I saw by Emily Faith here on YouTube. She did a DIY and crafts video. I'll also leave her video linked down below. Of course, I gotta give credit where credit is due, so all the Pinterest links and everything where I got inspired to do these DIYs, I will leave in the description box for you to go and check out. There's a lot of awesome creators out there who I've been greatly inspired by, and I'd love to share them with you as well. So without further ado, let's get into this. This DIY I'm sure you've seen before. You've probably done it yourself. If you haven't, this is the year to try it. I don't know why I have never done this before. Now I'm definitely going to be doing this every single year. For this first DIY, you'll need some navel oranges, however much you would like. You'll need a cutting board as well as a sharp kitchen knife, a baking sheet with parchment paper, and scissors. And twine. You want to start off by preheating your oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The lower the better, because we're going to slowly dehydrate these oranges. The goal isn't to cook them, it's just to dehydrate. So line a baking sheet with parchment paper and just start cutting up your oranges. The kids love being in the kitchen with me and cooking with me and baking with me, so this was right up their alley, but it kind of turned into them just licking the oranges, licking the juice off of the oranges, and they made it their goal to lick as much as they could before we took it away. But just cut up your oranges as thinly as you can. They don't have to be perfect. And you can use the ends of the oranges as well. I chose not to just because they didn't turn out quite as well. Obviously, be careful with the kitchen knife, close to little quick moving hands. We don't want any fingers being cut. Once you have all your oranges cut, get some paper towel or a cloth of some kind and just pat out as much of the juice as possible. This really helps the dehydrating process. Pop these into the oven for 4 to 5 hours. Because we don't have a convection oven, I actually switched the racks every hour or so just so that they would bake or dehydrate evenly. After 4 to 5 hours, they were done. They were still a little bit juicy, a little bit wet, which is totally okay. You don't want them to burn, so take them out before they burn and just let them sit for 24, 48 hours, a few days, however long, until they get crispy and hard, and they'll continue to dry as they sit out as well. The easiest way to do this is with a thread and needle, or twine and needle, I guess. But I lost mine. I don't know where it went. So instead, I just wrapped some tape around the end of the twine, and it worked perfectly well. It made it sturdy enough so that the twine could be poked through the oranges. And you can do whatever you want with this. You can make orange garlands, you can make orange ornaments, you can use these on gift wrapping, which I think is really, really cute. Or honestly, you can leave them out in a bowl on display. That's also very cute. The kids really enjoyed helping me thread through the twine, and we ended up making these into garlands for the tree. For the bead garland, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to need wooden beads, obviously. You're going to need some twine and some scissors. And again, this is pretty self-explanatory. All you have to do is thread the beads onto the twine and in whatever pattern you'd like, and make a little beaded garland. Now, one thing I will recommend with this is to tie a knot in between each bead. That way, if it ever happens to break or to fall off or whatever the case may be, you won't have a mess of beads everywhere, hiding under your couches and just, you know, everywhere. Because, you know, little beads, especially with kids, can be a choking hazard. So it's best to just take the time to tie a knot in between each bead to avoid that mess. This was such a good activity for the kids. They both really enjoyed helping me thread the beads through, and they really enjoyed like trying to put the bead on. It's a very good, like, I don't know the proper term, like a hand-eye coordination activity for kids. We were having a little bit of trouble with the beads going on because the hole in the bead was quite tiny for the twine. So what I did was, again, I took a piece of tape and wrapped it around the twine, and it really helped to just get the beads on there easier. Now this is gonna get messy. If you're doing this with kids, you're probably gonna have beads everywhere, as with any craft or DIY. And I encourage you to just let them get messy. Let them explore and be creative and do their thing. The mess isn't that hard to clean up afterward. I think this is one of the kids' favorites. So for this, obviously you're gonna need some mason jars and some figurines. We found these ones at our local crafting store. I've also seen them at the dollar store before. You're gonna need a hot glue gun, and don't laugh, I know mine is old and ugly. You're gonna need some chunky white sparkles to act as snow, and some vegetable glycerin, as well as distilled water. Vegetable glycerin can be found with cake decorating stuff, so if you have a local Michael's or craft store, you'll probably be able to find it there. Now we were running into a bit of an issue with these mason jars because the lip of the jar was too deep, so we couldn't actually see the figurines inside. So we needed something to prop it up, and my first solution was to create a mound of hot glue on the lid, which wasn't working. So solution number 2 was to take a plastic cap from the water bottles that we were using and glue that onto the lid of the mason jar. And this kind of created a platform so that we were able to see the figurines inside the mason jar. And from there, I just let the kids, decide what figurines they wanted in their little snow globes. They had a lot of fun picking out which trees they wanted and which little bears they wanted and where they wanted to put them. Whatever you put inside these, make sure that they are okay to sit in water for long periods of time. You don't want anything metal. You preferably want something plastic. And hot glue is the best adhesive because it will stay. So once you have your figurines glued on and in place, take your jar and fill it almost all the way to the top with distilled water. Then add half a teaspoon of vegetable glycerin. Be careful with this because if you add too much, it can actually make the glitter chunky and it doesn't work quite as well. So mix in that vegetable glycerin and then pour in your sparkles, your sprinkles, your snow, and then put the lid on, screw the lid on, and watch your little snow globe come to life. Now, alternatively, if you don't trust the water in glass jars around kids, which is a little bit scary and they can only use them and look at them under adult supervision, you could also do these waterless as well. It's not quite as fun and exciting, but it does work. Turn it upside down and then turn it over. Wow! Now a heads up, you might want to be careful what kind of trees you get because the flocking on our trees made the water a little bit murky. For your pinecone fairies, you're obviously going to need some felt, some scissors, a permanent marker, some pine cones, hot glue gun, some twine, and some wooden beads. Now I found these at my local craft store. They already had faces on them, but of course you can just draw your own faces with a Sharpie. The kids had a lot of fun picking out which colors they wanted for their little fairies and which happy faces they wanted and which pine cones they wanted. Theo went for full sparkle, which was really cute. So first you're going to want to cut a piece of twine. This is going to act as the hanger for the ornament. Then take your wooden bead and put some hot glue in there and thread your twine through that hole. This is going to keep it super tight and secure. Now take the head of your bead and measure out the hat on a piece of felt. I just tapped a few dots in a triangle shape and cut it out, and then I use this as my template for further hats. Once you have your hat cut out, you'll want to fold it in half and just poke a hole in the middle. Then you're going to thread your twine through. This is just going to help the hat sit perfectly on top of the head. Once you have your hat in place, you can glue it down. I did all the hot glue, and then the kids helped press everything in place. Now, a little tip, if you buy felt with adhesive backing, that works just as well. It actually saves you a step. You don't have to use the hot glue. So take off the adhesive backing and stick it down where you want it to stick, and wherever you don't want it to stick, take some cornstarch on your finger and rub it around the sticky backing, and that takes all the stickiness away. Now, using the same technique as I did before with the hat, I'm doing the same thing with the collar. So I use the head as the template and I marked a circle around the head. Now this ended up being way too big and I did have to trim it down. But that was all part of the process. And then drawing the collar, basically you just have to draw a flower. It's pretty basic, pretty self-explanatory, and then cut it out, see if it fits. If it fits, great, use that as your template and cut out a few more. If it doesn't fit, adjust it accordingly. I trimmed off the top of the pine cones just so everything would stick a little bit better. And then again, I did the hot gluing and the kids did the sticking down. And it did take a lot of hot glue to get the felt to stay just because of the funny shape of the pine cone. But once you get it on there, put another bead of hot glue on the top and attach the head and you are done. These are so cute. These are adorable. I love these. These are gonna go on our tree every single year and we're gonna keep them for years and years to come. For the twig ornaments, you're obviously going to need some twigs. We got ours from the backyard. Wooden beads are optional depending on what style you're going for. You'll also need twine, a hot glue gun, and scissors. So starting off, we just chopped up our sticks into smaller, more easy to use pieces, less dangerous pieces. And now for this first one, I wanted to make a tree. So I took some of the thicker twigs. I cut them up, some larger, some smaller, and then I lined them up largest to smallest to create a triangle. Now this next step gets a little bit confusing to explain. It might be easiest for you to just watch, but you're going to need a long piece of twine and fold it in half. In that crease, you're going to put your largest stick, tie a knot around it, and then just repeat the process with the rest of the sticks until each of them are tied together. If that makes sense. If that didn't make any sense, just watch and you should get the drift. Now once everything was tied together, it wasn't very sturdy or secure, so I put a long, thick bead of hot glue down the middle on the back, and then glued a smaller twig in place just to keep it tight and secure. For this next one, I wanted to make a star, and I wanted it to be a very twiggy star, if that makes sense. So I found a bunch of pieces, 10 pieces that were about the same size and width, and to make it easier on myself, I'm using hot glue to glue each of the sticks together to make 5 twigs. Then taking those 5 twigs, I arranged them in a star shape, your classic, 5-point star, and then I glued those down in place as well. The hot glue is optional, but I would strongly recommend using it. It makes it much easier. And then to hide that hot glue and to give it more of a rustic, authentic look, I took some small pieces of twine and just wrapped around each of the 5 points of the star. This really helped to secure it as well, but also just to make it feel really authentic. Trim off the excess twine and then take one last piece of twine, wrap around one point of the star, and this is going to act as your hanger for the tree. So this one was kind of impromptu. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm very glad I did. It ended up being one of our favorites. So obviously for this, you're going to need some paper bags. Whatever size, whatever color, it doesn't matter. It'll work with whatever. You're going to need some twine, some scissors, some glue sticks, and a pen or a pencil. So start off with the base of one of your paper bags and glue the bottom portion of it, and then glue one long line up the middle of it and pop another paper bag right on top of that. This was Eloise's favorite. She did not want me to help her. She wanted to do it all by herself. And she did a really good job. So just glue again the bottom of the bag and then one line up the middle, pop another bag on top, and you're going to want to repeat this until you have about 4 or 5 bags. Once you have your bags glued, mark a spot in the middle of the top of the paper bags, and then I used another paper bag just as a guide so that my lines would be straight. But then I marked 2 lines on either side, a little ways down, and then this is optional, but I think it's really cute, especially on the bigger paper stars. I just marked off a couple more spots a little further down to create little triangles in the middle of the star, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So now I'm just playing connect the dots, and I'm drawing the triangles to cut out, and then again connecting the dots at the top, and this is going to be the point of the star. So now you're just going to want to cut out those shapes. And then repeat the whole process again one more time with another set of bags. The reason we're doing this in 2 sets is just so that it's easier to cut through, because it's really hard to cut through 10 paper bags at once. So doing it in 2 sets just makes it a little bit easier. And now since you already have a template, you can go ahead and just trace what you already have, cut that out, and then you'll want to glue all of these together the same way that you did before. Now once you have your big stack of paper bags, cut some twine. This is going to help you hang it from the ceiling or from wherever you want to hang it. Glue it down into the center of your bags and make sure it's really good and secure. And then again, do the same gluing pattern, one line down the middle and then the bottom of the bags. And this is the fun part. You're going to want to unwrap your star and connect both ends together and make sure they're really good and snug and secure. You might want to pin it in place for a while until it dries, but that's it. That's your star. I think it's so cute and so cheap. This is a classic. I'm sure you've all done it before. For this, you're going to need coffee filters, scissors, and a pen or a pencil. I had a lot of fun showing Eloise how to do this, and she really enjoyed it as well. You're gonna start off by folding your coffee filters in half, folding it in half again, and then once more until you have a nice little pie shape. Once you have your pie shape, start drawing shapes on the edges of your pie. This is where you can be as fun and as creative as you want to be. Whatever shapes you cut out, it's always gonna look different, which is super, super fun. Once you have all of your shapes drawn, you can go back in with your scissors, cut out your shapes, and then this is the fun part, opening up your snowflakes. When your snowflakes are done, you can either hang them from the ceiling. We've done that in the past. This year we decided to glue them to the window, or not glue, we tape them to the window. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what is your favorite craft from this video, and what is one of your favorite DIY crafts that you like to do with your kids at Christmas time. I think Christmas time is such a special time to do crafts. I remember doing them all the time, especially with my grandma at Christmas time, and it brings back such sweet special memories, so I want to do that with my kids as well. Don't forget to subscribe as well and hit the bell button so that you don't miss out on any of my new content. There's lots of fun and exciting stuff that I have planned for 2021. Christmas is 1 week away. 1 week away! That's crazy! Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Excuse me. Snow.
Can you guys smile?
no.